My fellow Amberlanders, dear soldiers of our War of Independence, it has been a brilliant last few days. The sophistication of our fighters has been remarkable, and their daredevil attitude also to fight behind enemy lines has been thanks to a great improvement on our armory. As the weeks and months and years go by, our fighters are more sophisticated, not only in the materials that they possess, but in their tactics, and more importantly, in their understanding of the correlation between each strategic move they make and how that move pushes us closer to absolute control of our territory. You must be reminded that wherever you fight, whichever block you defend, you are doing so in collaboration with hundreds of other fighters, thousands of them, fighting across the territory, sometimes within the territory of Cameroon, doing the same things you are doing, but making sure that their actions with yours can culminate in the total freedom of our country. What you must understand is that our daily battles are not defined by what is happening in Cameroon on a daily basis. Our daily battles are defined by a national liberation strategy that was put in place based on an understanding of the political objective of our revolution, understanding of the stakeholders both at the domestic and the international level. Our fighters have become more sophisticated, more daring, they control more territory, and they are inflicting heavy casualties on the enemy. It's not simply about fighting Cameroon soldiers. Cameroon soldiers are at the forefront in the implementation of the policy of occupation by Cameroon, a policy that has been prosecuted in the last 58 years with utmost brutality. Do not forget and be reminded, the SDOs, the DOs and governors are commanders of the gendarmerie, those who are given the authority to implement the plans of Cameroon. Let me make it absolutely clear today to the colonial governor Lele Lafrique and Bila of Boya, including Mr. Atanganji, we have sentenced you all to death, and we are inching closer. You will not spend one day in jail like thousands of our people whom you've captured and put behind bars, treated with contempt and disdain for simply being Ambazonian. We will take you out of battle. A few days ago, Mr. Lele Lafrique shook in the grandstand. We were close. He will not have the luck next time to tell the story. That story will be told by us. How he left our territory and how we ended their reign of terror in our land. My fellow Ambazonians, these things have happened thanks to your dedication. You have sacrificed from those in the diaspora who on a daily basis have accumulated money to sustain the resistance. You are doing the job of the international system, the system that betrayed us, the system that mortgaged our sovereignty, the system that has remained silent as our women and children are being butchered and burnt in their homes. You are doing the job of the international system, of the United Nations, the Economic Community of West African states, the African Union. The African Charter on Human and People's Rights clearly states alien rule is rejected. And that should it happen, all states have the obligation to support peoples in resistance against such alien rule. In its Article 4B of its African Union Constitutive Act of 1964, countries are not allowed to extend their borders beyond the borders at which they gain independence. The United Nations' responsibility to protect should have been invoked to protect our people. Kofi Annan's POC, protection of civilians in times of conflict, has not been invoked to protect our civilians. So you are doing the job of the international system to continuously arm our people, to protect their dignity, because they also have a right to life in the land of their birth. Let the world know that Ambazonia will not tolerate one more day under the tyranny of Cameroon, and that our people will resist to the last man to ensure we bundle this tyranny out of our country and bring those who have perpetrated crimes against our people to book. And finally, give justice to the Ambazonian people. I want all of you to remain steadfast. As I announced a couple of days ago, I'm backed by the defense chair of the Ambazonian Defense Council. We are working extremely very hard to deploy new technology that will dampen the ability of Cameroon soldiers to move freely within our country and slow them down in getting into our villages and committing crimes of genocide. And I ask all of you to support this initiative. All of our barracks and brigades across the territory, all units, all forces fighting under the flag. My office will be providing support for more ammunitions, especially IEDs, improvised explosive devices. And you must commit that these devices will not be deployed against civilian targets, and that you will continuously, as you have done in the past 3 years, target institutions that promote the occupation, whether within our territory or the territory of Cameroon and any other place within its jurisdiction. And that you will continuously target only soldiers of Cameroon, governors, SDOs. We have a responsibility to protect the lives of our people. We have a responsibility to protect the dignity of the Ambazonian people. This generation has taken it upon itself to defend the independence that was restored. And we will make sure we speed up the day in 2020 that we end Cameroon's presence in our homeland. We have done well as a people, and let's commit to the freedom of our country, a transitional period where we can develop prototype institutions of governance, and a period of governance where the Ambazonian people, in their majesty and all alone, will have the sole responsibility to institute a government for themselves. I know we are deviated most of the times by gossips and little talks. In the past days, we have had issues in the great state of Momo. I have spoken with most of the actors, our traditional authorities within these areas, and we are working extremely very hard to normalize the situation and make sure our soldiers can return to their barracks and continue to do the job that they've been doing in the past 3 years, dismantle the last vestiges of Cameroon's colonial occupation, protect our people, and build harmony as demonstrated on the 1st of October 2019. Let me also make this clear. Our traditional places and our traditional leaders are custodians of our heritage. Traditional places are sacred places that must be protected. Soldiers have no right to intrude, and if there are issues within areas within their jurisdiction, they must consult with the king's men and women to make sure our traditional authorities can resolve those issues. Traditional rulers must never be invited to barracks, never be put in custody. We will be putting in place a penal code that will define activities of criminality and that will give a civilian administrative authority the powers of dispute resolutions, conflict transformation, and accommodation. All traditional authorities that work for independence shall be protected. All those who collaborate and enable colonialism and the brutal murder of our people will be taken into custody and will be subjected to the penal code of the state of Ambazonia. Remain steadfast, be brazen and bold. You're writing the last chapter of Cameroon's presence in our homeland and opening a new chapter for the Ambazonian people. God bless you all.